So are we on mantra 9, is that correct?
Yes.
Can you help us out with this? That's what everybody gets.
स एव सर्वं यद्भूतं यच्चद्भव्यं सनातनं ज्ञात्वं तं मृत्युम् अप्येति नान्यः पन्था विमुक्तये.
He alone is all that was, all that will be, the eternal. Knowing him, one goes beyond the sting of death. There is no other way to reach complete freedom.
So, the way I like to phrase this, there are many pathways up the mountain of truth. Lots and lots of yogas, lots and lots of sacred traditions. All of them are valid. But at the top of the mountain of truth, there is a temple, only one temple. And it only has one doorway. Oh, Jim, you sound like you're very exclusive. Well, actually, no. This is where all the paths meet. And the one doorway is I. Swamiji used to say, find out who the Guru is. Those of us who may have come from a Christian tradition, Jesus says, he who has seen me has seen him who sent me. Now, if you futz with the pronoun, it all changes. That person who has seen I has seen him who sent me. I and the Father are one. So, when we come to a verse like this, and we're talking about Paramatma, talking about Brahman, always understand these are meditation verses. They do us minimal value if we read about the self, we read about Brahman, as if it's out there, something other than my own self. Oh, Jim, I'm just a miserable person. You know, someday I hope I might be one with Brahman, like my jiva, who I am, is somehow going to get stuck onto Brahman. No. Oh, in my meditation, I saw a great white light. Is that Brahman? No. I am Atma Brahman. We should go through all four of those principal Mahavakyas so we understand what we're talking about. The first one, Prajnanam Brahma. Brahman is consciousness. That's what the Upanishads define as best we can, points. Where is this consciousness? It is both transcendental, but it is also immanent. How do we realize it? I am Atma Brahma. This self is Brahman. And of course the student says, oh, Guruji, you're Brahman, I'm a worm. So then the Guru says, Tat Tvam Asi. What's that mean? Yes, you are that. This third one here is what we call the Upadesha Mahavakya. What's Upadesha mean? Instruction, yes. So all the various systems and branches of yoga are all piled into that one Mahavakya. So the teacher says, you are that. Now go sit down and meditate as we've taught you in Kaivalya Upanishad and see what you find. So we have to be Kaivalya. Go off to a solitary place. And we practice this subject-object discrimination. It's like a game. If it occurs in time and space, if it's in the past, present, or future, if it's in the waking, dream, or deep sleep state, if it's voices talking to us, if it's a form, oh, I saw the blue neck Shiva. And most importantly, if it can be apprehended as objective phenomena, that's not it. What do? Sannyasa yoga. Drop it. What we're looking for, we are looking with. So again, in meditation, do our japa, watch the breath till we get this Shuddha Sattva, this purity of mind. And then with this radical reversal of the attentive faculty in the space between our thoughts, see if you can infer and notice what's there. So listen to the sound of the fan. Just let your mind get quiet. As quiet as you can. You don't have to go inside. Keep your eyes wide open. See if you can notice who hears. And now let's go through each one of these indicators to see if that's true about that awareness by which the sound is known. So what was the first idea?
He alone is all that was, and all that will be, the eternal.
So that He is you. You are all that has ever been, all that will ever be. We've talked about how the phenomenal world is various movements in consciousness. So the point here is, whatever was in the past, you were there. Whatever's going on right here, right now, I illuminate. Whatever will go on in the future, I am there. Next idea.
Knowing Him, one goes beyond the sin of death.
Yes. Death here doesn't just mean the death of the body. It means the sting of losing what we love, of losing what we're attached to. So the invitation here is to understand that I is a constant. And all phenomena arises out of non-existence, exists for a while, then goes into subsequent non-existence. everything without exception. But you remain. Next idea.
There is no other way to reach complete freedom.
Yes. So, the root of my problem is spiritual ignorance. The non-apprehension of myself as that grounded being. Technical term of varana shakti, avidya, ignorance. As soon as that comes over the mind, vikshepa shakti, I project a world where I'm a person, where I think I'm my body, or my body plus my personality, and there's some goal, and I need to make efforts towards that goal to be happy. And nothing resolves permanently the suffering of struggling until we drop the struggle. So if you're inside the dream, Martin's dream where he has fear because he's going to the hospital, nothing going on in the dream will permanently solve the problem. Wake up. See that it wasn't real. Now, Shrunahu. What's that mean in Sanskrit?
Listen.
Listen carefully. The movement between the dreamer and the waker is a gross shift. I was dreaming this morning, can't remember the dream. My alarm went off on my phone, 6 o'clock. Oh man. You know that huge shift that happens when you leave the dream state and you're now the waker. You know what I mean? The shift between egoism, jiva bhavana. This is the term that Gaudapada uses. I love it. What's bhavana mean? We have the same word in Hindi.
Attitude.
Attitude, feeling. So the feeling that I'm a person. Understand the jiva is not some little ball of entity. It's a kind of thinking. It's like hypnosis. It's like someone hypnotized you and told you you were a chicken. That's all it is. Doesn't mean it's not powerful. So what do? Through the process of inquiry into myself, in this Shuddha Sattva, this pure mind, when I go looking for the ego sense, koham, who am I? That jiva bhavana falls. And all that's left is aham, aham, aham. It's vast, empty space of consciousness. The kids were singing the Nirvana Shatakam last night. The refrain is Chidananda Rupam Shivoham Shivoham. I am of the form of bliss consciousness. I am Shiva. I am auspicious. So this shift between jiva bhavana and apprehension. There's nobody there. Yet that no-thingness shines. It's pure awareness. It's incredibly subtle. Doesn't mean it's not profound. So, viveka, discrimination. It's really easy to see you're not a stick. A little harder to remember you're not your body. It's even more challenging to remember I'm not my feelings, they go by. Even more subtle to know I am not my thoughts. But the subtlest discrimination is between aham and ahamkara. What is ahamkara?
Ego sense.
Ego.
But let's pull it apart. Let's pull the Sanskrit apart. Kara comes from the root kri, where we get kriya, karma, karana. What's the word kri mean? To make or to do. To make or to do. So, ahamkara, I like to translate it as I maker thoughts. It's a kind of thinking that gives me a counterfeit self, a phony self, or as the scriptures call it, chit chaya. What's chaya? Shadow or reflection. It's not a real self. It's a phony self that's assumed by the subtle intellect. Ahamkara. Chit chaya. Jiva bhava. Now, what happens when you shine a light on a shadow?
Goes away.
Yes.
Yeah. Same thing with this phony counterfeit self. Introvert the attention. Go looking for I that you may think is, I'm this terrible person I. In this quiet mind. See, it falls. It's just up. But something is still there. It's always been there. The very substratum of the ego. Don't believe me. Be a spiritual scientist. Look. Go there yourself. Next idea, please. That's it on that verse? Number 10. Yes?
The way you describe ahamkara and many other Sanskrit words, it seems like the philosophy of Vedanta actually is rooted in the Sanskrit language. And it actually makes this question in my mind, did Vedanta come first or the language Sanskrit?
Did you all understand this question? Let's save it for this evening. It's an excellent question, but let's save it for the satsang because I want to stay with the scripture study. Okay? Going on.
Sarvabhutastamapmanam sarvabhutani chatmani sampashyan dhamma paramam yati nanyena hetuna.
Experiencing one's own self in all beings, and all beings in the self, one attains the highest Brahman, and not by any other means.
So, again, we have 3 questions that we want to address. I didn't make them up. I stole them right out of Yoga Vasishta. First question, who am I? That's the one we've been working on. Second question, what is this phenomenal world? And how has it come about? That's the third question. So in order for us to be sthita prajna, steady, we have to answer all 3 through our own direct experience. So let's take that first idea and see if we can get a taste. Go ahead and read it again.
Experiencing one's own self in all beings.
Yes. So, I see the room from my viewpoint. All of these lovely faces out there. You see the room from your view. I am aware of my body. You are aware of your body. Take a deep breath. Feel the breath in the body. I'm aware of the breath in the body. You are aware of the breath in your body. I'm aware of my feelings. You are aware of your feelings. I'm aware of my thoughts. You are aware of your thoughts. But when I look behind my eyes, as it were, when I notice the knower, there's nothing there. It's the vast empty space of consciousness. And when you look behind your eyes and notice the knower, again, there's nothing there. Just the vast empty space of consciousness. Now listen carefully. The self in me is not like the self in you. There's not a little bunch of lumps of self running around. That awareness in me and that awareness in you, they are the same thing. There's only one of us here. Kaivalya. Supremely alone because there is no otherness. Next idea. And all beings in the self, I think.
Yeah, and all beings in the self.
Yes. So, to understand this part of the teaching, easiest way is to go to the dream state. Remember, you are the God of your dream. Is Martin here this morning?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Thank you for letting us use your dream. So back to Martin's dream. He's the God of that dream. On an individual basis, there was a dream Martin in a dream body in a dream car with the dream relative and the dream hospital and the dream fear. But you were the manifester of all of it. Not only were you the material cause of all of that, but they were inside your individual life. So too, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. All this is verily Brahman. Now, Vedanta is not solipsism. Solipsism is when you maintain the reality of your ego sense and everything else is just a projection. Oh, I don't really have a boss. Why am I talking to myself through my boss? I don't really have relationships. They're just projections of my own mind. There is some truth, so the way we interpret the world is that way. But remember, the Lord is doing the dreaming, not your ego. You all understand that? But it comes about in the same way. I don't know. I remember the first Star Wars movie. And you had little R2-D2, and then he projects Princess Leia and goes, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Remember that? So that projection was a hologram. All this is like a huge hologram. But just like you could stick your hand right through Princess Leia, the names and the form are just suspended, made up of consciousness. That very same consciousness which you experience as I. Next idea.
One attains the highest Brahman, and not by any other means.
So this is the process that we're invited to take up. Not only inquiry into myself. We don't stop there. Now we have to inquire into the nature of the world. What does that practically mean? What's the practice? It means that we learn to let all the data reported by the senses just pass through, dial down our reactivity. It's my reactivity, my attention, all that stuff that causes the mind to contract, and it reifies it, concretizes stuff. I love what Swami Tejo Mayananda used to say. Do you know how to get rid of your worries? Quit worrying. It is the mind and its attention and its fixation and its obsession that makes all that stuff seem so solid. If we pull that energy out of the world, just let stuff pass through. Shankara uses another metaphor. We've talked about the clay pots that he likes to use as a metaphor. Well, sometimes ladies drop one of those clay pots and it gets a crack in it. So what happens when you put water into the top of the pot? Dry out. So Shankara says, be a cracked pothead. Oh, that's good. Let it go. Watch how your world changes. It's no less beautiful, but it's a whole lot less problematic. Next idea.
End of the verse.
All right, next one.
आत्मानम् अरणिं कृत्वा नवं चोतरारणिं ज्ञाननिर्मर्थनाभ्यासात् पाशं दहति पंडितः.
Making the ego the lower oddity and Om the upper oddity through the practice of repeated churning of knowledge, jnana nirmatana abhyasa, a wise man burns up all the cords of his bondage.
All right, so we had a brief reference to this. I talked about it when we talked about the churning of the Milky Ocean, remember?
Mm-hmm.
So who was it who made their fire by hand when they were doing Homa?
Pune's dad.
Who?
Pune's dad.
Pune's dad.
Yeah.
Okay, so explain how you do it.
Take 2 pieces of wood and keep some cotton at the bottom and keep on rubbing the woods together and try to make a spark which burns the cotton and then shakes the fire.
And you put a little ghee or oil on it, don't
Yes,
you?
we do.
Yeah.
Keep it.
Now, the way I've seen it, there's a little instrument, it looks like a bow with a string around a dowel. Is that what you do when you go like that? Or do you have another way in which you do it?
Well, nowadays we do not do all those things because we have some the matchstick and
Okay, ignore him. The metaphor falls apart. So, in the old-timey days, you had the upper oddity and the lower oddity. And then you had a dowel that you put between them.
What's a
And
dowel?
A dowel, a round piece of wood, like this. Yeah. And then you had this thing like a bow, and the string would go around the wood. And what you did is you had the piece of wood here and a piece of wood there, the upper and the lower oddity. And it's a matter of creating friction, is what you did. So you had pressure, and then with the other hand, and so what it would do would create friction. It would get hot enough, and finally in the lower oddity, you'd get fire, rather than having matches or a lighter. So that's the metaphor that the Upanishad is using. So what he's saying is this is what happens in meditation. So do you all understand the metaphor, first of all?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now with that in mind, let's go through it again. Go ahead, please.
Making the ego the lower oddity.
Okay, so that's where the fire's going to happen. That's what we're going to burn up. Okay, and
Om the upper oddity.
yes. Om here is the sound syllable for the infinite. It's another name for Aham. It's another name for Brahman. Who here studied Mandukya? Mandukya Upanishad? The scriptural section starts out. All this is Om. All that is beyond this is also there is divided into chatushpada. What's that mean?
4 parts.
4 parts.
4 parts. It's not 4 feet like a cow. Like 4 quarters make a dollar. First quarter. Letter Second quarter. Ooh. Third quarter. Ma. Fourth quarter.
Silence.
Silence. By the way, there's a practice suggested in this. Whatever your mantra, we talked about japa last night, always allow that 4th quarter to be there. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. You feel the silence at the end? You use the mantra to get the mind to be quiet. And in that silence, that's where you find the turiya, another name for yourself. So we've got Om and the ego, and we're sweating to the oldies as we make fire. Go ahead.
Through the practice of repeated churning of knowledge,
Go ahead.
a wise man burns up all the cords of his bondage.
So what we're going to do is burn up all this, what Swamiji would call stinking vasanas. Who can tell me what a vasana is? Did we talk about this?
Yes.
Let's review. It is an impression left in the unconscious as the result of previously performed egoistic actions. It's a kind of impression. It's a subset of sanskara. Sanskaras in and of themselves are not problematic. Do you know that this is a metal ball?
Yeah.
That doesn't cause you to suffer. But if you went out to your car on your way home and someone had broken your window and stolen your laptop, because it's my car and my laptop and I have to go to work. Now, Shankara uses a wonderful metaphor of the silkworm. So, in the old-timey days, when they would be growing silk for harvest, the silkworms, would munch away on the mulberry leaves, and then they would spin a cocoon, and it would be one thread at a time, one vasana. Another thread at a time, another vasana, and then another, and another. Until finally the silkworm is cocooned. So this is what's happened over lifetimes. The mind has become cocooned by vasana. Isn't that a beautiful image?
Yes.
Now, in our indiscriminate revelry with the objects of the senses, you go dance with a particular object, you have a good time, and your mind attributes pleasure or pain to that object. No big deal if you're a good tapaswi. You go, I'm not going to get attached. Let it go. But few of us bother to do that. Instead, thread by thread. So, how do I know if my mind is covered by vasana? I experience myself as a person. I have jiva bhavana. I have the non-apprehension of my essential nature. Avritti, avarana shakti. What do we do in meditation? What do we do in our practice in life? We are exhausting and burning up vasana. Whenever one of those proclivities arises out of the unconscious,
Mhm.
and we don't reinfect the mind, then those get burned out. My clearest example of this is if you go out to a party with some friends on Friday night, someone's having a birthday and you drink too much cheap champagne. None of you have ever done that. And then Saturday morning, why did I do that? But some people may go, I must have the flu. Oh, gee, I think I'll have a Bloody Mary. That'll make it feel better. How does that help deal with the problem? Enough, we've got a whole nother problem coming. So that's what we do. When I am restless, disquieted, uncomfortable in my own skin, I can't sit still. I have a spiritual hangover. It's what it is. It's vasana pressure from yesterday's indiscriminate revelry with the objects of the senses. It was fun, but now I'm paying the price. 1, Varana Shakti. I forget who I am. I never figured it out. Number 2, Vikshepa Shakti. I want to fix this feeling.
Mhm.
Is this making sense? That's the problem. That's the problem. So what do you do if you've got a hangover? Drink lots of water. Just live through it.
It's not very satisfying.
No, it's not. So do not think of meditation as, oh, this is Advil for my mind. No. I let all that stuff come up. All that stuff. Oh, Jim, I've been trying to meditate all week and my mind hasn't gotten quiet all week. Just because I'm tuned into a lot of this stuff. Did a lot of you have physical pain at the meditation this morning before class?
Yes.
Yeah. So another one of the ways in which these things come up. I would highly recommend that you do Kali Om's yoga class. Where is she?
Here.
Yeah. Isn't this an incredible way to deal with this stuff?
Absolutely.
Because in meditation, this stuff lodges, well, actually, as the trauma happens, it lodges in the body. It's actually a good sign that you're starting to get pain. It means it's moving out more towards the surface. That's one of the great benefits of doing asana and pranayama. So we've got an expert here doing it. So take advantage of it. But this is the process. This is the serpent vomiting up the poison that we talked. So going on.
That is the end of the verse.
Okay. So it's about meditation. And we burn it up. Who can tell me what the word tapas means?
Discipline.
Asceticism, discipline. Who said heat? Kali Om. She's right on. Because what happens is it burns. Now, who's ever had a feeling you're in meditation and, oh my God, am I going through menopause already? I'm having hot flashes. You start to sweat and you get really hot. Who's had that experience? Us guys, we get menopause. But that's the heat of stuff burning up on the subtle level. The psyche, it's all good. But this is why you have to be virya. What's that mean?
Brave.
Brave. Meditation is not for sissies. Because you get to confront all your inner demons and angels.
Jim, by confront, you literally just mean let it come up, right? You're not saying get into thinking about it. All you mean is just let it vomit up and watch it.
Yes,
There's nothing you do.
there's just don't do something, sit there. And don't think the solution is to go causation hunting. This is just a trap the mind uses. Oh, why am I so afraid? Was it because of my grandmother?
Mm-hmm.
You see. Oh, golly. Maybe I was a torturer in another life. I'm not saying you were. But so what? All the material is right here, right now. And it will communicate itself as the unconscious spills all that stuff out. Spills all that stuff. This is the process. Isn't this an incredible Upanishad? All this is right here in there. Okay, did we get to the end of it?
Yes.
All right, which verse was that? 11. Number 12. Oh, we're catching up.
स एव माया परिमोहितात्मा शरीरमास्थाय करोति सर्वम् तुयन्नपानादि विचित्रभोगैः स एव जाग्रत् परितृप्तिमेति.
The self, deluded by Maya, is he who, identifying with the body, does all actions, all perceptions, feelings, and thoughts. In the waking state, it is he, this jiva, who reaches full gratification through the varied objects of enjoyment, such as women, food, wine, and so on.
Now, we have to be very careful here. This is a really old text. Remember we said it was about 3,000 years old. You see. And in the earlier texts, the word Atma, self, is used to mean various things. You have to interpret its use by context. This is why a scholar alone can get very confused. This multiple usage of the word Atma was so confusing that Buddha decided to just say, there's no self. The Buddhist doctrine of anatman, you all know that?
No.
There's just no self. Just don't really worry about it. We'll talk about your Buddha nature. We'll talk about the ground of being. We'll talk about consciousness. We just won't even use the word. And it's because of these various misunderstandings of the word self. So in this context, the Upanishad is talking about the personal sense of self, which we usually use as the term jiva. Jiva comes from the root jiv, jivati, which means to live. And it's my sense of individuality. Now, what actually is it? It occurs in the intellectual sheath, the Vijnana Maya Kosha. That's where it lives. So briefly, we'll go through the various sheaths as they're articulated in the tradition. First is the food lump, Annamaya Kosha. What's Anna?
Food.
Cooked rice, basically, yeah. So what does the food tube do? It consumes a mountain of food and it produces a mountain of poo. That's what you do. You munch your way from womb to tomb. Chomp, 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 chomp. And eventually you're food for worms. That's the food tube. I can remember, I'm going back to the 80s, and I had a daytime class which had several guys who had AIDS in it. We got real honest. And one of the other people in the class was talking to this guy, James, who had AIDS. He said, James, what's it like to be dying? And James laughed and laughed and laughed. It was a really good yogi. He said, we're all dying. Every single one of us. Now, why am I bringing this up? I have another young man I work with. He's not that old, 47, 48. And former drug addict. And on his last crystal meth run, he started to get some heart trouble. Because he was up for days, no sleep, stuff like that. Began to have, what do they call it, arrhythmia?
Yeah.
And he was fibrillating, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
So he got clean again, back to his job as a nurse. All of a sudden, he started to have racing heartbeats, skipping beats, fibrillation right there on the floor of the hospital, rushing down. He's actually going to go in this week for an ablation. But after he got this diagnosis, young man, heart trouble, couldn't get out of bed. Stayed in bed with the covers over his head. Terrified. Terrified. And I said to him, you've got to make peace with your mortality. I don't think this is what you're going to die from now, but you're going to die. But we cannot live afraid of it. That's no life at all. What this knowledge of our mortality should give us is this intense awareness. Today may be your last day. Now, when you're north of 70 like me, every day is a bonus day. But you young people, you never know. Young people die all the time. So cherish it. I've had people who will come in and say, oh, I'm not speaking to so-and-so. My God, you want to die in that state? Is there somebody whose feelings you've hurt that you could reconcile with? When was the last time you told your mother or your father that you loved them? What do we take for granted? If you were on your deathbed right now, is there anything you would regret that you can fix? Usually it's relationship stuff. So this is what awareness of our mortality should give us. Cherish life. It's an enormous gift. And it's incredibly short. Annamaya kosha. Pranamaya kosha. The vital air sheath. Energy body. Talk to Kaivalya about Pranamaya kosha. We do yoga, hatha yoga. Manomaya kosha. The mental sheath. This is the part of us that creates our world for us. It's where we have judgments, where we evaluate, where we have opinions. Of course, the clearest example is politics in the US. So someone's a progressive and they may have an uncle who's a conservative. The progressive says, oh my God, that horrible man in the White House. Oh, he's just despicable. And the conservative says, he's fabulous. He's finally telling the truth. Have you ever seen those kinds of things happen?
Yeah.
Which one's true? So yoga would say, your viewpoint of the world is your manomaya kosha. Folk got opinions. Just don't take them seriously. It's just an opinion. Vijnanamaya kosha. That's where we determine the thatness or suchness of things. Where we name things. Not with evaluation, but just it is. And vijnanamaya kosha. That we have this phenomenon of superimposition. In the Vijnanamaya kosha, we attribute to the self the qualities of the not-self. Shankara's very famous example. We've got 6 of these jars of water. You gotta go home and get jars, I guess, after this. Jars of water. It's August in Kerala. Anybody here from the south? Do we have any Malayalis? We've got some Tamils. Tamilians. It's hot in August. So people go out in the evening. So you gotta imagine Shankar is there at this portico in a big Nambudri house, because he was Nambudri. Priest. There's 6 jars of water, and it's a full moon. And you look in the jars, and there are 6 moons reflected in the jars. This is this chinchaya. It's like a reflected moon is like the reflected self. What's really there is water. What's really there is the Vijnanamaya kosha, the intellectual sheet. Shankara would take one of the water, the jars, and he'd go, oh, I've broken the moon. One moon, not 6 of them. But what we do is we attribute to the moon the qualities of the water, the reflecting surface. So in the Vijnanamaya kosha, I attribute to myself the qualities of the equipment. Annamaya kosha. I'm tall, I'm short, I'm fat, I'm skinny, I'm old, I'm young. I'm beautiful, I'm ugly. Pranamaya kosha. I don't have any energy anymore. Oh, I'm so full of vitality and stuff like that. Manomaya kosha. I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm happy, I'm enthusiastic. Vijnanamaya kosha. I'm smart, I'm stupid, I'm successful, I'm afraid. People love me, nobody loves me. I attribute to the self the qualities of the not-self. How do I get out of it? Shuddha sattva, in a pure mind. Sannyasa yoga. Renouncing all these superimpositions. Let's listen to the fan again. Your attention introverted. Who hears? in that vast empty space of consciousness. Are you tall or short, good or bad, energetic or lethargic, successful or failure? Oh, nobody home. Nothing there. Next idea.
The self polluted by Maya is he who, identifying with the body, does all actions.
Yes. So it is this counterfeit self that appears as the agent. Now in Gita, Krishna says, all action under all circumstances is done by the force of Prakriti, nature, meaning the equipment. Later he will say that the agent, when we're dealing in the 5th chapter, is guna and karma. Guna means the qualities of mind, karma means the force of the past, as it interacts with society. Meditation here that's implied is, why do I want to do what I want to do? Of course I experience desire, of course I experience choice. But yoga says it's far more mechanical. And you are not the agent. It's just the qualities of the mind, the phenomenology of the equipment. It's an illusion. I decide to do this. I choose to do that. That's how the mind functions. But it's not real. Yoga Vasishtha says there are 3 mind states that we can abide in. 2 are conducive to liberation, 1 is conducive to bondage. The first mind state, I do nothing. I remember that ground of being, ever watching the light shine. That one's conducive to liberation. Second one, I do everything. Shakti emerging from my infinite being, doing it all. Same intelligence that's blinking your eyes, causing the birdies to chirp, the traffic to move on the freeways, the earth to spin, the galaxies to rotate. I do nothing, I do everything. The third is the one that gets us in trouble. I, Jim, do this particular action, and you do something else. So I have an individual sense of doership. That's what gets me in trouble. Is that all of that one?
In the waking state, it is he, this jiva, who reaches full gratification through the very objects of enjoyment.
All right, so now he's going to break down the 3 great states of mind. We find these also in Mandu. So in the waking state, what time is it? What number is this verse?
12.
12, okay, we're right where I need to be. Okay, so in the waking state, it is the waking state ego. In Mandukya we call this Vaishwanara. Vishwanara. the person of the waking state world. See? And functioning through the physical body of the waking state, this ego conducts transactions with the phenomenal world. Now, understand what Vedanta says. That doesn't mean it's a physical world. It's actually another mental world that's just grosser. Waking state is just a grosser, slower vibration. Question?
No.
Understand that. The waking state comes about in the same phenomenology as a dream. It's just slower vibration. So the ego functioning through the waker, as the waker does transactions vyavahara in the phenomenal world of the waking state. Next idea?
Who reaches full gratification through the very objects of enjoyment.
So that's what the waking state ego does. It looks for people, places, things, and conditions in order to find happiness. That's what it does. Next idea?
That's it.
All right. That's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We'll do one more. All right. Can you help us out?
स्वप्ने सजीव सुखदुःखभोक्ता समायया कल्पित जीवलोके सुषुप्तिकाले सकले विलीने तमोभिभूत सुखरूपमेति.
The very same individualized ego in the dream state experiences its pleasures and pains in a field of existence created by its own maya, misapprehension of reality. During the state of profound sleep, when everything is merged into their causal state, it is overpowered by tamas, non-apprehension, and comes to exist in its form of bliss.
So, the mind in the dream state gathers impressions from the waking state and uses those to create its own particular little world. So going back to Martin's dream. So he had a car in his dream. He got the idea of car from the waking state. Who was the relative, Martin? Was it brother or cousin?
Excuse me?
In the dream, what was the relative?
It was my cousin.
Your cousin.
Yeah.
So you gathered the impression of the cousin from the waking state, put him in the dream, etc. So the mind then spins a reality that's individual. So you see, when you were asleep dreaming, Ganesh wasn't party to it. It's individual. See? So in that state, the mind, the ego sense, creates its own little world with its own particular enjoyments, here meaning experiences, joys and sorrows, all on its own. Doesn't need the phenomenology of the waking state. Now, in the deep sleep state, the mind is folded into unconsciousness. Now listen very carefully. You are aware in deep sleep. What? And I can prove it. The proof is through the law of memory. The law of memory is you cannot remember something you haven't experienced. Who here slept well last night? Do we have any hands?
Few,
Did I sleep well last night?
not sure.
Why not? You weren't there. But you know if you slept well. So sleep is not like being blind. Sleep is like seeing darkness. If you were blind and we shut all the blinds and the windows and someone lit a candle, you couldn't see it. You're blind. But if your eyes were wide open and we've shuttered all the windows and it was pitch black, you would be seeing darkness. And then if somebody lit a match, you can see it. So you, as awareness, illumine the darkness of deep sleep. Watch. So this hand will say is the self, always there, always shining. This hand's your mind, waking state, dream state, deep sleep state. Now watch carefully. The deepest meditation. Oh my gosh, there's nobody there. That's what happens. That's what happens. So here, the Upanishad is briefly indicating the three great mind states, waking, dream, and deep sleep. Now, one of the things that I'm dealing with back in Oakland, I have contact with some basic beginning students. They're all getting into ayahuasca. God. Altered mind states that are drug-induced. I need to let you know that's a dead end. That's just another form of the dream. It's just phenomenology under the influence of the drug that your mind's projecting. And there was a great Tibetan Lama, Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, who he was referring to LSD in those days. He said it's a double samsara. A psychedelic trip is an illusion about this world, which is an illusion about reality. Mm-hmm. The problem with the psychedelic is it tells you what you're experiencing is real. That making sense? Does it have a beginning and an end? Does it occur in time and space? Does it have qualities or characteristics? Does it have forms? And most importantly, is it objectively cognized? If it is, sannyasa yoga. Everything in the waking state, the dream state, and with that all altered states, and even the ignorance of deep sleep, is illuminated by me. That's what we're interested in, find out who you are. Okay, was that 12 or 13? 13. Okay, we'll stop here.
Purnamata Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.
Now we have our